My fellow Americans, I stand before you today on this Christmas Day to mark a moment that history we will record as the turning point for the American Republic. We have just received word from the United States Senate development so significant, so unprecedented, that it reshapes the very foundation of our government. We have learned that 50 Republican senators have joined with Democrats to vote to convict President Donald Trump. Let me repeat that so we understand the magnitude of what has occurred. The president's own party, the party that has stood by him through impeachments, through indictments, through controversies, has finally said enough. 50 Republicans. This is not a partisan skirmish. This is a consensus. This is a supermajority of conscience. And because of this vote, the President of the United States faces not only removal from office, but he faces the immediate stark reality of jail. We are witnessing the unburdening of our democracy. For years, we have carried the weight of corruption. We have carried the weight of a leadership that believed it was above the law. We have carried the weight of the secrets hidden in the Epstein files. But today, the Senate has lifted that burden. They have looked at the evidence, the unredacted, undeniable evidence released in the Phase 2 files, and they have made the only decision a patriot could make. They have decided to convict. I want to speak about why this happened. Why now? Why after all this time? It is because of the significance of the passage of time, reveals truth. And the truth that was revealed this week was too dark, too dangerous, and too compromising for even the president's staunchest allies to ignore. The Republican senators saw what we all saw. They saw the flight logs proving the president lied under oath. They saw the financial records linking the Oval Office to the hush money payments for the Epstein network. And crucially, they saw the evidence of current obstruction, the orders given from the White House in 2025 to destroy federal records. When a president uses the power of his office to cover up crimes against children, he loses the moral authority to lead. But more than that, he becomes a national security threat. I want to commend those 50 Republicans. I know it was not easy. I know the pressure they were under. I know the threats they faced. But they chose the Constitution over the cult of personality. They chose the country over the party. And because of their courage, we are seeing the restoration of the rule of law. Now, we must address the headline that is flashing across the world. Trump faces jail. This is the reality of conviction. When the Senate convicts, the immunity of the presidency evaporates. The shield is gone. And because the Department of Justice has already prepared the indictments that were held back only by his office, the process will move swiftly. The president is no longer protected by the Office of Legal Counsel memos. He is no longer protected by the dignity of the chair. He is a citizen who has committed high crimes and misdemeanors and felonies under the criminal code. We are moving into a period of transition. It will be volatile. We are hearing reports of anger, of confusion, but we must remain calm. The system is working. I want to speak to the duality of this moment. On one hand, it is a day of profound sadness. It is a tragedy that a president of the United States betrayed his oath so completely that his own party had to remove him. It is a stain on the office that will take a generation to scrub clean. But on the other hand, it is a day of incredible hope. Think about what this says to the world. In other countries, when a leader is corrupt, the military takes over or the opposition is jailed. In America, we follow the process. We hold the hearings, we review the evidence, and we vote. The vote today was a vote for the future. It was a vote to say that we are not going back to the days of impunity. We are not going back to the days where the rich and powerful could prey on the vulnerable without consequence. We are moving forward. I want to address the supporters of the president. I know you are hurting. I know you feel betrayed, but I ask you to look at who actually betrayed you. The betrayal did not come from the Senate. The betrayal came from the man who told you he was fighting for you while he was secretly fighting to hide his own crimes. The betrayal came from the man who told you he was draining the swamp while he was swimming in the deepest, darkest waters of the Epstein network. The 50 Republicans who voted to convict did not do so because they hate the president. They did so because they love the country. They saw the classified briefings. They saw the damage being done to our alliances, to our intelligence agencies, to our national soul, and they acted. Now the question is, what happens next? The president faces jail because the crimes are real. This is not a witch hunt. You do not get 50 senators from your own party to join a witch hunt. You get them to join a rescue mission, and that is what this was, a mission to rescue the presidency from a criminal enterprise. The transition of power must be peaceful. The president must accept the verdict of the Senate. The time for resistance is over. The time for accountability has arrived. If the president attempts to hold on to power, if he attempts to incite violence to stop the lawful execution of the Senate's verdict, he will only add to the charges he faces. He will only ensure that his sentence is longer. We are a nation of laws, and the highest law has just been enforced. I want to speak to the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. For decades, you fought. For decades, you were silenced. You were told that these men were too powerful. Today, the most powerful man in the world is being removed from office because of what he did to you, because of what he knew. This justice belongs to you. The unburdening of the truth is a powerful thing. It allows us to see clearly. And what we see today is a Congress that has finally found its spine. We have a lot of work to do to heal this nation. We have to rebuild trust. We have to rebuild our institutions. But we cannot rebuild on a foundation of lies. We have to clear the rubble. And today the Senate began clearing the rubble. As we celebrate this holiday, let us celebrate the resilience of the American experiment. It was tested, it was stretched to its breaking point, but it held. The checks and balances worked. The legislative branch checked the executive branch, and now the judicial branch will do its job. Donald Trump faces jail not because of politics, but because of his actions. He faces jail because in the United States of America, no one is above the law. We will get through the coming days. We will stand together and we will emerge as a stronger, more honest, and more just nation. Thank you. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. Continuing in a conversational, explanatory tone, breaking down the mechanics of the turn and the conviction for the audience, I want to take a little more time to walk through the significance of this number 50. You know, in the Senate, you need a 2/3 majority to convict. That's 67 votes. The Democrats have their numbers, but they couldn't do this alone. They needed a massive number of Republicans to cross the aisle. For weeks, the question was, will the GOP break? Will they stick with the president to save the party, or will they turn on him to save the country? The Epstein files were the tipping point. I've been speaking with colleagues on the Hill, and what they tell me is that the PAL note and the flight logs were damaging. But the thing that turned the GoPT thing that got us to 50% Republicans was the obstruction. It was the revelation that the president currently was using the NSA and the DOJ to try to delete servers. That is what terrified the senators. They realized this wasn't just about a dark past. It was about a rogue executive operating right now. When you have a president who is facing jail, his psychology changes. He becomes desperate. And a desperate president with nuclear codes is an existential threat. The Republicans realized they couldn't wait for the next election. They couldn't wait for the voters to decide. They had to act as a constitutional immune system. And so they turned. And let's be clear about what facing jail means in this context. Usually when a president leaves office, there is a tradition of grace. We Dante like to put our leaders in prison. It looks like a banana republic, but this situation is different. The crimes here, human trafficking, perjury, massive obstruction, are not official acts. They are heinous private crimes. The District of Columbia Attorney General and the Special Counsel have indicated that the moment the Senate conviction is finalized, which could be hours from now, the warrants will be executed. This is why the president is terrified. This is why we are seeing the lashing out. He knows that the moment he is no longer president, he is just a defendant in a very serious case. We are also seeing the 25th Amendment conversation happening in parallel. The vice president and the cabinet are watching this Senate vote. If the president is convicted, he is removed. But if there is a gap, if there is a delay, the cabinet may step in to bridge that gap to ensure the continuity of government. This is complex, it is scary, but it is necessary. I want to talk about the unburdening again because I think it is the most important concept for us to grasp right now. Think about the energy we have spent, the collective anxiety, worrying about the corruption in the White House, worrying about who has leverage over the president, worrying about what secrets are being kept. That energy is a weight. It drags us down. It stops us from dreaming about the future. When the Senate votes to convict, when the Republicans join the Democrats to say no more, we drop that weight. We can breathe again. We can start talking about the economy again. We can start talking about health care. We can start talking about the future of our children instead of the crimes of our leaders. That is the gift of this moment. And I know for the 50 Republicans who voted to convict, this effectively ends their careers in the MAGA version of the party. They will be primaried. They will be attacked, but they bought their souls back. And I think when the history books are written, those 50 names will be written in gold because they stood up when it mattered. The legal team collapsing, the judges ruling, the chaos at Marigal of that was the prelude. This vote is the finale. The president is going to face justice. And it is important that he faces it. It is important that every young person in this country sees that you cannot bully your way out of the truth. You cannot buy your way out of the truth is the only thing that lasts.